Welcome. I'm Louise and Maurice, your leadership mentor during the Get Results Confidence Coaching Holistic Micro-Learning Program. Each of the 10 modules includes 4 labs, a confidence case study, coaching session prep, interactive NLP techniques, and a session practicum. Subscribers can comment, interact, and receive feedback. Are you ready? Let's continue. As we begin this entire section, we're going to focus on session number 1. Remember, this is the Get Results Confidence Coaching. And session number 1 is going to provide you with not only the people, but the physiology, the process, the procedures, the phrasing, and then an opportunity for you to perform your practicum. But let's focus on our sample client, people. Understanding people is key to your success as a confidence coach. You are coaching people, and the more that you can move them toward a place where they feel empowered, and not because they are seeking anyone's approval or comparing themselves to anyone. And that's where we begin with the G in the Get Results program. The G. The G stands for gauge. And gauge is another way of saying measure. And as you are listening to our sample client, I want you to key in on exactly what he is measuring. What's he measuring? All right, listen in, because your ability to listen to people as they are speaking and be that detective and pull out all of the essential information in just a short period of time, that's the key to your success. All right, you've been hired by a company as their confidence coach to go in and listen to the team members. They have no idea why these people aren't at the level that they should be at. They want to guide them, and that's where you, third-party confidence coach, goes in there and listens. Let's meet our sample client next.
Everyone thinks I'm a pushover. They look at me and they assume I'll just go along with whatever they say. But when we have to work together on projects, they take advantage of me. Every single time. And then something shifts inside me. I feel this need to prove myself. I want them to see that I'm not weak. I want them to know I'm smarter than they think I am. But here's the truth. I don't trust them. I don't trust their motives. I don't trust that they actually want me to succeed. So I hold back. I second-guess myself. I hesitate when I should speak up. And the more I hesitate, the more they dominate. It's frustrating, because deep down I know I have the skills. I know I can contribute. Yet, I keep questioning whether my ideas even matter. And maybe the only way it works for me is if I prove I'm smarter than every single one of them. That's the only way I feel safe. That's the only way I feel in control.
In that last lecture, you were introduced to our sample client number 1. And obviously that's a reenactment because it is a place of vulnerability for people to share. And this, yes, is a reenactment, but definitely based on a real life people and real life situations. And when people feel threatened in any way, and if they share, and if they're honest, is that going to put them in a place of jeopardy? Remember that always. And as we continue on, I'll be sharing with you more and more why that is the case. But you've got to be able to understand people, and regardless of their idiosyncrasies and how slow they talk or fast they talk or anything like that, you have to be able to look beyond those judgments. And as a confidence coach, your ability to stand in acceptance. You're just accepting of people. Because when they sense that and they have that connection with you, that's when they are going to open up more. And that is so important when you are coaching, your ability to have people truly share. But when you were listening to our client, what happened? What key language were you able to pull from that conversation? What was he measuring? Remember, gauge, G, measurement. That's the first letter in Get Results, and Get Results is that acronym. What was he gauging? Well, he talked about the fact that he's not a pushover. And obviously, when he gets with other team members, he starts to compare himself. And that measurement, always that measurement, well, I am smarter than everyone else. And there were so many opportunities for you to hear exactly what he was measuring. And that's where you have to have that benchmark. And when you have that benchmark with a client, you can move them in a direction that gets them focused on what they need to do to move beyond the comparisons, the measurements that they've held themselves to based on other people's standards. And they can then move beyond that. But what are these standards and where do they come from? Well, in the next lecture, we're going to look at the physiology as well as an introduction to the procedure. Are you ready? Let's continue. I want you to be taking notes during this lecture because I'm going to share with you so much important information that you might already know, but just a refresher, especially as you are embarking on this confidence coaching journey. It's important to understand the physiology. And the physiology insight, obviously the brain being the most important part of the physiology and how it's connected to the central nervous system. But the brain is an organ of nervous tissue that commands task-evoked responses, senses, movement. Again, I do have this on your note-taking sheet for you, but as I'm sharing information, continual information, that's what you should be writing down. But responses, senses, movement, emotions, language, communication, thinking, and memory for survival. All of those physiological processes are for survival. And when you think about survival, that really is what propels people to either do what they need to do or not do what they need to do. But if it's going to go against their survival, that's what becomes important. Now, in order for the brain to have all of these task-evoked responses and movement and so forth, all categorized, what the brain does is it really develops a mental map. Okay, this is what we've done before, and this is how we've been able to survive. And in our family, this is what this means. And if someone looks at us this way, this is what this means. And this is what the brain does. And during the whole time when children are being reared or programmed for survival by the people that are caring for them, that's when it all becomes, yes, categorized. And each time that this is confirmed for them, yep, that groove gets bigger, wider, thicker, stronger. And that's where the brain is just brilliant in so many ways, but it also works against people. Now, the procedures that we are going to focus on in this course, procedure is just another word for technique. But obviously the 10 P's of being a successful confidence coach, technique, yeah, it starts with T, not a P, so but procedure. And we're going to focus on neuro-linguistic programming, but just the basics, because that's all you need. And you never tell your clients, okay, now we're going to do some NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. No, you don't. Neuro-linguistic programming, they're just coaching techniques to move clients beyond the blocks and obstacles that have been set in motion by the physiology and the brain. So it's connecting the brain and the body. But the mental map, how people see themselves, their world, how it's been set up, their upbringing, their environment, all of that plays a very important part. And this becomes the filter through which they see everything else, the filter by which they process all of the information that's coming in. And as we were listening to our sample client in that last lecture, the language that he's using, the measurements, the standards by which he sees himself compared to everyone else, that's the filter. And you know right away just by the language that he's using, possibly if he's the oldest child or the youngest child or the middle child, and how he was compared to siblings. And this allows you as a coach, as you're listening and you're understanding this, to ask those questions. But as we continue on, I'm going to be sharing with you just a technique, an online resource that you can use to help your clients really figure out what is inside their mental map. As we continue on, we're going to look at how you prepare yourself as a coach and how you prepare your clients. Let's continue.